My name is Jose Mori. I'm CEO and founder of Astra Media. Uh, Astra essentially is focused on bringing diversity to science and technology. My personal background, I'm a physician by formal training, and after that I studied artificial intelligence. I've worked in the private sector and the public sector for the last 15 years of my career. I was Associate Chief Health Officer of IBM Watson Health. After that, I've worked as an advisor to groups such as NASA, MIT, the US White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, as well as the United Nations and several other entities. But throughout my career, I've often always been the only person that came from a minority group, especially as we progressed into the executive level, or the only person that was Hispanic in the career of science and technology in these different projects. Which is something that we know is a problem. Science and technology, the STEM fields, the fields that generate the greatest amount of generational wealth right now, have a huge lack of diversity. And that diversity is not just ethnicity, that diversity is gender, gender identity, neurodiversity, and disability. And that's exactly what we're looking to solve. And the way we're looking to solve it is by media, using the power of media to inspire kids from underserved communities that aren't represented in STEM to go into them by creating content that has diverse protagonists within those roles. The content that we tend to produce primarily right now is from K to career, so that a 4 to 5 year old developmental stage to high school level. And the utilization of media to actually educate, to change hearts and minds and perceptions actually has a lot of data behind it. The Harvard Business School actually did a large project back in the 80s, putting in media around anti-drinking or drunk driving campaigns within popular shows in the 80s like Cheers and LA Law. And more recently, the FDA has done a similar campaign with the anti-vaping campaign, where they put in that type of media within popular, that type of content within popular media for kids, for older kids. And we actually have done a similar study, which I'll show you some of that a little bit later. But the whole concept is, if you can't see it, you can't be it. If you don't see the representation within popular media, then you don't have those dreams of being an astronaut or being an engineer or being a scientist or being a doctor. So all of our shows always have diverse protagonists represented within the show. And I think the greatest personification of this, probably many of you have seen this, was been recently with the movie Encanto, which is obviously very popular on TikTok, and it's a great movie that we like to watch at home. But there's a little boy who thought the movie was about him because of one of the characters that looked like him. And that's exactly what we're doing. And there's so many stories of this within science and technology as well. Mae Jemison, the first African-American woman astronaut, she often talks about how her inspiration actually came from watching Star Trek and seeing the only African-American character in there, Uhura, as someone that she wanted to be when she grew up, and then she ended up becoming an astronaut. Obviously, the entertainment industry is very large globally. We look at that market globally because the content that we create, both for ourselves, that are our own brands, and the content that we create for other partners is multilingual. We create content in Spanish and English. We have bilingual content. We've even started translating content into Pashto and Dari and Arabic and many other languages. And we actually have support by the Eisenhower Foundation to go over to China to meet with several distributors and contacts there to start producing content in China as well. So the similar types of companies or entities that you can think of, we are a full service animation studio that is creating content for kids simply with diverse representation within it. So that's the type of things that we are looking to become, and that's how we've been generating revenue up to this point. We've had many partners have been helping us become what we've become so far, both from the private sector and also from the public sector. We've been able to create content for these individuals, as well as sponsorships of content that we've developed. Over the last 2 years, since we started, we've been able to reach several school districts across the United States. We're working with some large distributors to get into more schools, primarily in the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, Southeast, and in the Texas region. We've reached over 5 continents, millions of kids worldwide. We have our first animation that's already in Amazon Prime and going to be distributed in other major distributors through our partner Space Racers. And we have a new pilot that's going to be coming out at the end of this year with our partner Lion Forge Animation, who has done things such as Hair Love, which has a full-length feature coming out on HBO, and most recently they just did Stand Up Sing Out, which is now on Disney, which was a partnership with Questlove and The Roots. If you haven't seen that, it's a great little show. We have over 23 books that we've created in the last year, our first full year of creating content. We have 25 books that are planned to come this year. Several more graphic novels are coming out. We've been asked to create animations for a couple of for-profit and nonprofit entities around NFTs. We have our animation projects that are being distributed and produced now, and in a lot of discussions with other major brands to create content for them, both commissioned and IP of our existing content. In our first year, we generated almost $20,000 with commissioned work. Then our last year, which was 2021, we produced almost $300,000, so over a 10x increase in revenue, primarily direct to consumer, and then also with our commissioned work. And then we're estimated to almost 10x that again this year based on existing contracts. The sustainability goals that we're reaching, we're trying to inspire kids that aren't in STEM to go into STEM, primarily because those are the high net worth, those are the high salary jobs that are being created. So our primary goal is to elevate these communities out of poverty. Obviously, we know as you elevate the socioeconomic status of any community, then those things are tied to so many other sustainability goals, whether it's education, equality, improving infrastructure in their community, upward mobility, reducing inequalities and partnerships. Some of the social impact projects that we have out there, we have a farm to table project, which we use our Intergalactic Academy comic to teach agricultural science and sustainability to over 200 families in rural Mexico. And we're looking to expand that to 16,000 families by the end of the year. We've worked with the Mark Cuban AI Foundation to teach artificial intelligence to underserved communities. We donate to Girls Who Code through our Yenner program with the sales of all the books that have a female character within it. We've worked with several medical universities to get our primarily bilingual and Spanish content into their underserved communities. We've worked with the International Rescue Committee to send content to ICE facilities at the border between the US and Mexico. And we've been working with several Afghan refugee committees with our Pashto and Dari content and our bilingual that includes the English to get to the 100,000 families that have come here to the United States. And now we're looking to expand also to the refugees from Afghanistan across the world. And then also the most important thing is the teachers that are using this within their classrooms. And you can see some of the teachers here and some of the educational modules that they started using our content to create for their students. We've even worked with the Clean Global Initiative on their Too Small to Fail and their Pequeños y Valiosos campaign. Oops, jump that one. We won an award last year for a brand new comic. All our content has been certified by the Space Foundation to teach space science when it's space science related. We did a study with a nonprofit last year called the PASS Foundation of Ohio, which showed exactly what we're trying to do. So the kids, once they're exposed to our content, actually choose a more diverse representative as someone who could be an astronaut or a doctor. We specifically focus on the first two books that we created. And then with our partner Space Racers, which we own a minority stake in this brand, we were able to send toys on the first ever full civilian space mission in partnership with St. Jude and use the proceeds of that to actually raise funds for cancer research. And then we were chosen by the National Institutes of Aerospace to be one of the production studios to work on NASA's first ever immersive graphic novel, First Woman, which is freely available right now. We worked on the Spanish version called Primera Mujer, and I'll show you a little bit of that here. As I mentioned before, we have our Space Racers brand, which is now on Amazon Prime. It's going to be on several other distributors here in the coming weeks. We have a new show that's been picked up with Alliant Forge Animation that will be finished with a pilot by the end of this year. And we're talking with several other distributors specifically for our digital and ebook content. This is the team. The team has a vast amount of experience both on the tech side and on the production side, both in Spanish networks such as Univision and Telemundo, as well as Netflix, Disney, Nickelodeon, and others. I think the most important thing is our team is as diverse as the kids that we're trying to reach. I think that's a very important aspect because if we don't tell our stories, then who will? The ask is 1 million is what we're looking to raise. We've been supported by Community Impact Ventures last year. We're going to be using those funds primarily to keep promoting and creating our own brands and expanding our intellectual property, advertising of existing brands, then content acquisition, both investing into third-party brands as well as bringing them under the umbrella of Astra, and a small amount for legal and then operations. If you'd like to join us on our journey to diversify us, then I invite you to please go to Ignite Social Impact and you can find out more information there. Thank you very much.